when you're holding on too long, misreading signs from Allah? You made the dua with sincerity in your voice and desperation in your heart. You raised your hands and begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, guide me. Remove anything from my path that is not written for me. You weren't just asking casually, you were broken, you were tired. And in that raw, vulnerable moment, in the silence of the night, you whispered through tears, half sobbing, half surrendering, Ya Allah. If they are not meant for me, take them out of my heart. But they're still there, they haven't left, not your mind. Not your thoughts, not even your dreams. They keep reappearing, not with words, not with clarity, but with a heavy presence. A silent echo that shows up when you least expect it. Sometimes it's after Fajr, when your heart is supposed to feel peaceful. Sometimes it's in the middle of Tahajjud, when it's just you and Allah, no one else, no distractions. Just stillness, and yet they return, not through voice or vision, but through a strange heaviness in your chest. A pressure that refuses to fade. And now you're left wondering, what if this is a sign? What if Allah is trying to tell me something through this feeling? But let's pause here and be honest with ourselves. This is where things get blurry. This is where the soul begins to mix sincerity with emotion. And this is where it becomes dangerous, because not every emotion that refuses to leave is divine. Not every feeling that lingers is sacred. And not every pull in your chest is from Allah subhanahu ta'ala. Sometimes your nafs wears the mask of faith. Sometimes shaitan uses gentle feelings to whisper destruction, and sometimes you hold on. Not because Allah is guiding your heart, but because you've made that person the center of your emotional worship. Is it a sign or a silent warning? The Prophet reminded us of a powerful truth. Whoever gives up something for the sake of Allah, he will replace it with something far better. So pause and ask yourself sincerely, if you were forced to choose right now between pleasing Allah and pleasing that person, who would win? If your answer isn't Allah, then my dear, that's not a sign. That's a warning, because real signs from Allah aren't designed to validate your desires. They're sent to fulfill your purpose. And your purpose is always greater than one person's temporary presence in your life. Let's talk about something that almost nobody admits, especially in the culture of our universities, campuses, and casual halal interactions. Let's talk about the unspoken emotional attachments that quietly form between group assignments. Daily lectures, late-night, innocent conversations, and shared glances in between classes. You meet someone, maybe through a friend, maybe through a project, and at first, it seems harmless. You notice little things about them. The way they speak, the way they laugh, the way their smile lights up a room. Your heart jumps a little every time they enter class. You convince yourself it's not a big deal. You're not doing anything wrong, right? But before you even realize what's happening, they're living in your thoughts. Your chest feels heavier. Your mind is rehearsing conversations you never had. And now, you're looking them up on Instagram a little more often than you'd like to admit. You're emotionally invested. Waiting, hoping, searching for any small sign that they might feel the same. Here's the part that gets tricky. You start spiritualizing the obsession. You tell yourself, maybe Allah placed this love in my heart for a reason. Why would I keep thinking about them if we're not meant to be? Suddenly, every small interaction becomes a sign. Every message feels like a divine signal. Every coincidence feels like guidance, but what's really happening? You've confused emotional urgency with spiritual direction. Your heart is racing, not because this person is your cadre, but because you've fed your desire silently, and now it's running wild. You've turned a temporary feeling into a permanent fixation. You've turned a casual emotion into something sacred, using religious words like soulmate and destiny to justify something you know is slowly taking over your heart. But listen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us guidance for moments like this. He says in Surah Al-Baqarah 216, perhaps you dislike something which is good for you, and you love something which is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, if this feeling was really from Allah, would it be draining your energy like this? Would it be making your salah harder to focus on? Would it be causing anxiety, confusion, and a spiritual fog you can't explain? Wouldn't divine guidance feel clean, peaceful, and dignified? Because real signs from Allah don't come disguised as emotional turmoil. They don't bring chaos to your soul. They bring clarity. They bring peace. They bring certainty. The truth is, what you're feeling might not be divine at all. It might be loneliness. It might be past wounds. It might be your need to be seen, to be wanted, to be validated, and Shaitan loves this. He knows how to take a sincere young believer and drown them in their own emotional rush. The Prophet Muhammad gave us a beautiful principle to remember: deliberation is from Allah, and haste is from Shaitan. So if you're rushing to label every strong feeling as a sign, to act without reflection, to justify what deep down feels wrong, that's not from Allah, that's the trap. So next time your heart races, don't rush, pause, reflect, ask yourself, is this really from Allah? Or is it just your loneliness screaming louder than His guidance? Because if something is truly written for you, it won't drag you into spiritual exhaustion. It won't feel like something you need to hide. It won't require secrets, stress, or sleepless nights. Real love, the kind that's written in the decree of Allah, will come with serenity, with dignity, and with a clean, upright path that doesn't break you in the process. Was it a sign or a warning disguised as love? Let's be absolutely honest now. Real, divinely guided love is never built in secrecy. It doesn't force you to hide conversations from your family. It doesn't require deleting messages or covering your tracks. And it certainly doesn't make you justify minor sins as if they're harmless. If your connection constantly has you walking on eggshells, if you're scared of being exposed, if you keep lying to yourself or others just to keep it going, then you already have your answer. This isn't divine. This is a trap, and you didn't fall into it. You walked into it. Pause and reflect. Would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly guide you towards someone who slowly pulls you away from Him? Would something so pure ever come with guilt as its foundation? Allah tells us clearly in the Quran, Surah An-Nur 24:26, good women are for good men, and good men are for good women. Notice He didn't say secretive men for secretive women or sinful beginnings lead to blessed marriages. Goodness attracts goodness. That's the divine standard. So ask yourself truthfully, can a connection built on emotional turmoil, spiritual confusion, and hidden intentions ever truly lead to divine blessings? We live in a world where emotional affairs and silent relationships have become normalized, especially in schools and university campuses where private texting, subtle flirting, and hidden attachments are seen as harmless. Even your own friends might tell you, don't worry, you're not doing anything wrong. But when you're alone with your thoughts and your chest feels heavy with guilt, you already know the truth, because real love, the kind that comes from Allah, won't steal your peace. It won't drain your amen. It won't strip your dignity or leave you spiritually starving while calling it halal vibes. No, that's not love. That's emotional dependency. It's desire wearing the mask of destiny. The Prophet said something deeply powerful. Leave that which makes you doubt for that which does not make you doubt. If your heart is always in doubt, if you keep battling anxiety, guilt, and a sense of moral conflict, then stop calling it love. Start calling it what it really is: an unhealthy emotional attachment. A test you misread as a sign, because real guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it makes your salah easier. It makes your heart feel cleaner. It pulls you toward Him, not away. If a relationship is making your faith harder to hold on to, that's not your future spouse. That's your wake-up call. Let's take this even deeper. Think about how many times you've told yourself, but it feels so right. This bond is too strong to be wrong. But if it truly felt right, why does it always lead to you compromising your prayers? Why does it pull you into sin, then leave you begging Allah to fix the very thing He told you to walk away from? Real love from Allah will never ask you to fight your own soul just to keep it alive. It won't leave you emotionally shattered. It won't come at the cost of your values, dignity, and connection to your Lord. And you don't need to help them change to make it halal. That's not your job. Your job is to guard your own heart first. If the relationship requires you to constantly explain away sin, or say things like, Allah understands, yes, He understands. But He also commands truth, modesty, transparency, and respect. If you're stuck in something that's breaking you, it's not a test, it's not a sign. It's a lesson. And maybe the biggest proof that you need to let go is how scared you are of losing it. Because the hardest things to let go are often the very things we're most in need of releasing. Real love, the kind written in the Qadr of Allah, will never leave your soul in ruin. Let me ask you this. Would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really guide you towards something He Himself has warned you against? Would He ask you to break His boundaries? To cross His lines, just to prove someone is meant for you? No, He wouldn't, and deep down, you already know that. I know this realization hurts. Because maybe you've been holding on for so long, hoping, praying, wishing. But today is the day you admit what your soul has been whispering. This isn't right. And that admission, that truth, may be the very beginning of your healing, because what you lose for the sake of Allah, He always replaces it with something better. That's not just a comforting statement. That's a promise from the Prophet. So yes, maybe your heart is still aching. Maybe walking away feels impossible. Maybe your chest is tight with the fear of letting go, but remember, perhaps you love something and it's bad for you. And perhaps you hate something and it's good for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Quran 2:216, so trust His wisdom. Even when your heart doesn't understand, Allah isn't trying to break you. He's trying to save you. 2. Guide you back to peace. To purify your heart before it hardens. To protect your akira before you lose yourself completely. Now, before we end this emotional journey, say this simple yet powerful dua with your full heart. Ya Allah, replace what I lost with something better than I ever imagined. Comment it below, not just for yourself, but so that someone else who's hurting sees it and remembers they're not alone, like the video. Share it with someone silently struggling. And subscribe for more reminders that protect your heart and purify your soul, because sometimes one sincere reminder is all it takes to save a person's entire world. Jazakum Allahu khairan for trusting this message. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.